Well, I'm Russ Jaffe. I'm an internist physician and a PhD biochemist. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist and a fellow of the National Academy for Clinical Biochemistry. I'm an overseas fellow of the Royal Society of Medicine, and I maintain professional fellow status in the American Society for Clinical Pathology, the American College of Nutrition, the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology, and the American Medical Laboratory Immunologists. I'm a fellow of the Health Studies Collegium Research Foundation, and I'm director of PERQUE as well as ELISA Act Biotechnologies. As you see, recordings for these kinds of webinars are available through www.perque.podcasts.asp. Remember, it's plural, podcasts.asp. And in regard to tonight's topic, heart disease is the #1 cause of death in the United States. 90% of women have one or more risk factors for developing heart disease. In essence, we are all in this together. By virtue of being Americans in the 21st century, cardiovascular disease is our epidemic of epidemics, one of them, and it's linked intimately to inflammation, the secret killer, according to Time magazine's cover. And we'll look tonight at demystifying and rethinking what inflammation is and its link to heart and cardiovascular health. Well, the first thing we believe you have to rethink is an understanding of what inflammation is. As a pathologist, I was taught that inflammation was a fire to be fought, was a problem to be suppressed. And as a physiologist and physician, I've rethought that and realized that inflammation is really cumulative repair deficits, that these cumulative repair deficits in our immune defense and repair first responder system can affect cardiovascular diseases, as you see in the red rectangle, but it can affect Alzheimer's, increasingly seen as diabetes of the brain. It can affect diabetes type 2. It can affect arthritis, particularly rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune diseases of any kind, neurologic diseases, pulmonary diseases, and even cancers are increasingly recognized as related to repair deficits, our rethinking of inflammation. And here we see a blood vessel where a first responder cell, the blue neutrophil in the middle, comes out of the blood vessel, wiggles in between the lining endothelial cells. And when there's a foreign invasion, when, say, there's a wound and bacteria come in, or there's a breach in the skin and something foreign comes in, or at the interface of the gut, if anything foreign like a digestive remnant comes in, the neutrophils and the other dendritic first responder cells come in to consume and recycle that which is foreign. They have help from the green mast cells above. The mast cells actually go back into the bloodstream and recruit other first responder cells to come to the site. Blood platelets also wiggle into the wound area and assist not just with blood clotting, but also proactively with providing some of the communication molecules that stimulate repair. And on the bottom of this slide, we see communication molecules, cytokines that come from fatty acids, coming from macrophages. These macrophages release these amplifying cytokines that initiate tissue repair and, where necessary, go back into the blood vessel to recruit systemic responses. So repair deficit is a block of the first responder dendritic cell's ability to repair. And when that goes on and persists, it's called inflammation of a chronic nature. When it's of a short term, it's acute inflammation. And here we see the opportunity to support these dendritic first responder cells so that they can complete the repair and resolve the inflammation physiologically and biologically. Well, our clinical goals for this webinar are to appreciate the rethinking of inflammation as repair deficits and as a primary causal factor for cardiovascular diseases, that physiology first allows us to restore host homeostasis, host self-regulating, self-restoring abilities via predictive tests that are applied functionally and individually. This is personalized medicine at its best, and best used when referencing healthy values, HV for healthy values, and later in the presentation, later in the webinar, I'll describe what we believe to be the most predictive tests in regard to repair and what the healthy values or goal values are based on the literature. And finally, the Alkaline Way is an approach to immune system restoration, repair, and an added defense capability. So the Alkaline Way has to do with what we eat and drink, as well as how we think and move. And the Alkaline Way is best when we substitute for immune reactive substances, eat the foods to which we're tolerant, the foods that we can digest, assimilate, and eliminate without difficulty, and that these then become the sources for the building blocks that our immune system uses to restore us, to repair us, and to defend us from anything that's foreign that invades. Now, when we look at repair deficits and we understand inflammation to be repair deficits, we understand that oxidative stress and free radical damage associated with inflammation really mean a loss or a lack or a depletion of antioxidants. And so repair deficits or inflammation associated with oxidative stress and free radical damage are progressive when there's a lack of repair from normal wear and tear due to cumulative intake deficits. You're not taking in enough of the good stuff through the diet, or internal overconsumption. You're using it up faster than you're able to take it in, resulting in chronic degenerative and autoimmune diseases. So oxidative stress and free radical damage, universally recognized in all advanced scientific medical communities as the basis for chronic, for degenerative, for autoimmune illnesses, relate to inflammation, and these are really signs of repair deficit because either the first responder cells don't have enough of the good stuff, there's a lack of intake of the essential nutrients that protect and energize the first responder cells, or internal overconsumption, that the immune system has to do so much work because of, say, chronic infection or chronic food digestive remnants coming into the body. The immune system has to do so much work that the individual is not able to take in enough to meet their needs, and that results in the chronic, the degenerative, and the autoimmune diseases. We'll talk about what to do about that in the rest of the webinar, but first a few words about oxidative stress to remind us about free radical damage. And here you see in the center top of the slide, glucose in an orange circle, glucose representing the pool of energy that can come into the cell, into the DNA, but into the battery of the cell called the mitochondria. And this glucose is handled in an oxidative way inside the mitochondrial battery. You see oxygen and glucose coming in. You see two arrows coming out, one of them to the middle right showing energy, and the other showing oxygen radical with unpaired electrons. These have the potential to be free radicals that would damage, as you see, damaging mitochondrial DNA or cellular DNA. But if there are enough superoxide dismutases, if there are enough catalases, if there are enough transmutases, if there are enough free radical trappers in the form of antioxidants, then the oxygen radical with the unpaired electron doesn't do damage, and the energetic electron is picked up and transduced or channeled back into a battery or mitochondria for energy production in the cell. Now let's get clinical and practical. What about the cardioprotective PERQUE nutrients that reverse inflammation by stimulating repair? When we have enough repair, that reverses inflammation, and that helps confirm that inflammation is really repair deficit in its cumulative form. Physiology first approach to restore homeostasis is what we want to do in practice, and the Alkaline Way to sustainable health is our guide. The Alkaline Way is a true integrative care approach. It does practice these physiology first approaches and principles. It does restore self-regulation or homeostasis using individualized functional tests and goal or healthy values to guide how much nutrients or how much activity is needed. The Alkaline Way is designed to enhance immune tolerance, immune resilience, and the ability of the body to produce elective protective molecules. For example, when we're healthy and energetic, our body produces lots of metallothionein that soaks up toxic metals and protects us from them. But when our cells are depleted in antioxidants or buffering minerals, when our cells become at risk of oxidative free radical damage or of metabolic acidosis, then the cell hunkers down, the cell shifts into a survival mode, and it no longer produces the elective protectives like metallothionein, and then we're more at risk if we're exposed to, say, toxic metals in the absence of protective metallothionein. Now, this alkaline way approach also has to do with consumption, activity, attitude, and environment. It includes our relationships and our interdependence on all life and with all life. And we bring all that together in what we call the alkaline way. Now, in clinical practice, this would mean, for example, a look at cardioprotective nutrients, the first being ascorbates. You need potassium, calcium, magnesium, and zinc ascorbates. You want that intake based on individual calibration, and we have online protocols and specific PowerPoint presentations on the importance and the value and how to accurately perform an ascorbate calibration. Please contact us for that information if needed and helpful. Along with the ascorbates, number 2 are polyphenolics, quercetin dihydrate as the specific preferred flavonoid, and soluble OPC as the preferred flavanol, sometimes with pomegranate juice that's been freeze-dried for even more free radical protection. And these polyphenolics work along with the ascorbates to enhance the protective benefits that ascorbates and the polyphenolics provide in the face of free radical or oxidative damage. The next cardioprotective nutrient is coenzyme Q10. Micellized in rice bran oil, it can get into the body more easily, 3 times or more effectively. And so we recommend CoQ10 micellized in rice bran oil and with vitamins E. If you need more CoQ10, you need more vitamins E, all natural, all 8 forms of vitamin E. Number 4, we recommend of cardioprotective nutrients, we recommend magnesium and choline citrate. Many of the people who need beneficial magnesium to relax them, to soothe them, to activate the enzyme systems that are magnesium dependent. Very often the people who need magnesium have a block to its uptake, and we have discovered and patented that when you use ionized magnesium and liquid choline citrate in glycerol water, a tiny micelle, a tiny nanodroplet forms in the gut, and that enhances magnesium uptake, and then the choline and citrate are beneficial. Acetylcholine is a soothing neurotransmitter. Cholinergic bile salts help get toxins out of the body more safely. Citrate is energizing and alkalinizing to the mitochondrial battery, and so you have a triple benefit of enhancing magnesium uptake while also replenishing choline pools and citrate. Number 5, in terms of cardioprotective nutrients, are the B complex, including B1, B2, B3 that are most commonly remembered, but also B6, B12, natural folates, all of the methylation factors, including PABA. And these, a full B complex in balanced B forms to enhance communication and methyl cofactors. The 6th cardioprotective nutrients are EPA and DHA in MCT. EPA and DHA are the omega-3 fatty acids, the most active forms. I believe we need EPA for body as well as brain, and I believe we need DHA for brain as well as body, and that they are best when taken in a micellized or tiny nanodroplet form with MCT, medium chain triglycerides, that alkalinize and facilitate the uptake of the beneficial omega-3 fatty acids EPA and DHA. There are other cardioprotective nutrients, number 7, vitamins D and E, and these are recognized increasingly as essential for heart health. Vitamin D for many other benefits in the body. Vitamins E, the safer form that we have always recommended of the 8 natural vitamins E, especially the gamma form for heart health. We do not recommend the isolated D-alpha tocopherol succinate or acetate forms. The 1 out of 8 form of vitamins E does not provide cardioprotection, but we do recommend vitamins, the natural form of vitamin E, as well as vitamin D3, sufficient to bring us into healthy value ranges. Carotenoids, carnitine fumarate, and GABA with kelp. These are also cardioprotective nutrients. Carotenoids, including alpha and beta carotene, zeaxanthin, cryptoxanthin, pseudoxanthin, lycopene, lutein. These are all different carotenoids that have beneficial effects on cell membranes in different selected parts of the body, and we need a balance of all of them. Carnitine fumarate. Carnitine is the shovel that brings the fat fuel to the furnace of the cell. Carnitine fumarate is the most active and alkalinizing and energizing form of carnitine. We combine that with GABA as well as a specialized kelp to enhance the functionality of fat burning. And taken together, the ascorbates, the quercetin dihydrate insoluble OPC plus or minus pomegranate juice, the coenzyme Q10 micellized in rice bran oil with tocopherols, the magnesium in ionized form and choline citrate taken together to enhance magnesium uptake as well as provide beneficial choline and citrate, the B complex, the full range of all B elements to enhance communication and methyl transfer, the omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA in MCT, vitamins D3 and vitamins E, as well as carotenoids, carnitine fumarate plus GABA and kelp, all cardioprotective, and when together in sufficient amounts, provide comprehensive cardionutritional protection. Now, the physiology first, the alkaline way, does start with good nutrition. Cardioprotective habits include the 5 energizing protective foods: garlic, onions, ginger, eggs, and brassica sprouts. If we're talking about broccoli sprouts or brassica sprouts, we're talking about 8 ounces of sprouts a day to get maximum benefit, or an entire bulb of garlic, or a shallot or 2 or 3 in a sauteed pan until they're clear, shredded ginger added to sauces and to foods as staples in the diet. 1 or more, you don't need all, but 1 or more of garlic, onions, ginger, eggs, and brassica sprouts provide the sulfur to get the toxins out, as well as to enrich the sulfur pools from which glutathione and immune functionality are boosted. In order to protect from lipophilics or fat-soluble toxins, we recommend low-temperature saunas, that is 105 degrees Fahrenheit, until an oily sheen forms on the surface of the skin. Then you take a shower with a Castile soap and loofah to get the oils off the skin and off the body before they get reabsorbed. And this is very helpful in unburdening the fat pads of the body from lipophilic or xenotropic toxins. Let's talk in more detail about these beneficial nutritives. The ascorbates based on personal calibration. Ascorbate is the central, the protective, the maternal antioxidant. We recommend the 100% L-ascorbate, fully reduced and fully buffered. You see on the right the PERQUE Potency Guard bottle, and below it a sample of several teaspoons of the powder. The ascorbates protect and recycle tocopherols in the membrane, lipoic acid, lipoate in the cell cytoplasm, glutathione, taurine, NAD, and FAD derived from B vitamins. They help protect the DNA from oxidation. They help protect PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acids. Both omega-3 and omega-6 are protected by ascorbate, and ascorbate protects our cytochromes. So ascorbate does many protective antioxidant activities. It helps protect and regenerate many other antioxidants in the cell so they can do their job. And ascorbate uniquely sets the redox or reduction oxidation potential or level of the cell. That's a measure of how energetic the cell is. And ascorbate will donate an electron to restore ATP generating capacity to the mitochondria battery so that the energy goes up in the cell when ascorbate is present in adequate amounts. And a healthy cell will have 100 times more ATP than ADP, and that is facilitated and enabled by adequate ascorbate to donate the electrons and to protect the mitochondrial machinery. Here we see the results of 3,496 people who calibrated their ascorbate. We find 4 different populations. On the far left, bright yellow, next to it, deep blue, next to that, green turquoise, and on the far right, red. On the far left, you see the yellow population. These are people who needed less than 4 grams to calibrate, and they tended to be asymptomatic. People with minimal symptoms who are pretty healthy tended to calibrate between 5 and 10 grams. And then we had the largest population, cohort about 80% of the people, 2,798 of them, that calibrated between 10 and 130 grams, and a small population, about 1 in 20, who calibrated above 130 grams of ascorbate. We are talking about grams, not milligrams. Ascorbate needs are in proportion to oxidative stress and free radical activity, and it's clear that some people have a lot of oxidative stress and free radical activity, and therefore they use up ascorbate very quickly and need quite a bit in order to calibrate. We also mentioned the polyphenolics. Quercetin dihydrate promotes repair. It has a distinctive safety profile that promotes healthy blood clotting. It reduces and prevents hypercoagulation, excess clotting, but it doesn't induce over-thinning of the blood. You can't get hypocoagulation or too thin blood from quercetin, but if you have hypercoagulation, it can be reduced by the repair stimulated by the quercetin dihydrate. Quercetin dihydrate stabilizes cell membranes to prevent or reverse mast cell hypersensitivity, so cells are less likely to get into an amplified histaminic reaction. Membranes are stabilized by quercetin dihydrate, therefore there's less amplified histamine, leukotriene, and prostaglandin activity. Quercetin dihydrate also prevents or reverses oxidative damage in the lens. This slows and sometimes can reverse cataracts. The quercetin dihydrate also stimulates repair in blood vessels. This reduces and in some cases can reverse ASHD, arteriosclerotic heart disease, CAD, coronary artery disease, PVD, peripheral vascular disease, and the like. Another polyphenolic that we favor is oligomeric proanthocyanidins, the soluble OPC, the low molecular weight OPC, the bioavailable form of OPC that is a powerful antioxidant. It decreases blood pressure, it decreases hemoglobin A1C levels, it increases and spares ascorbate, it helps regenerate and spares vitamin C, and it protects LDL and VLDL from harmful oxidation in its antioxidant role. PERQUE Pain Guard Forté and PERQUE Repair Guard are the products that contain these polyphenolics. A unique flavonoid-flavanol protective combination, the quercetin dihydrate and soluble OPC for Pain Guard, and then we add the organic cold-pressed and evaporated pomegranate juice for Repair Guard, a tropho-restorative prompt healing relief formula. As you see on the right, the bottle and the yellow of the Pain Guard capsules below it. The slight green of the slightly larger Repair Guard are not shown in this figure. These are transport activated, they get into the body easily, they don't deplete the body of energy, and they're tropho-restorative. That is, if the body is overly active, it's calmed down, and if the body is depleted or underly active, it is stimulated. It's brought back into homeostatic equilibrium. It's a tropho-restorative repair of body structure, collagen, as well as elasticity, elastin. The structural proteins of the body, collagen and elastin, are stimulated by the PERQUE Pain Guard Forté and PERQUE Repair Guard. These provide the highest ORAC, or oxygen radical accepting capacity, free radical quenching activity. So the highest ORAC free radical quenching or dampening happens with PERQUE Repair Guard. We recommend 2 to 6 capsules per day for maximum benefits. Quercetin dihydrate and ascorbates are synergistic. Buffered ascorbates and quercetin dihydrate plus soluble OPC are antihistaminic. That is, they reduce seasonal allergies and sinusitis. It provides safer regulation of immune defense and repair system. And quercetin dihydrate enhances reduction of dehydroascorbic acid, oxidized ascorbate, and that helps recycle it back to reduced ascorbate with the facilitation of glutathione. So glutathione is both helpful and helped by ascorbate in a recycling system, and Middleton reviews that in the pharmacology review article referenced on the bottom of the slide. We mentioned PERQUE coenzyme Q10. PERQUE Mito Guard Plus is the PERQUE coenzyme Q10 formula. Micellized CoQ10 in rice bran oil for enhanced uptake, along with mixed natural tocopherols, vitamins E. I believe if you need CoQ10 supplementation, you need vitamins E as well. And for replenishment or repletion, we recommend 1 to 1,200 milligrams a day. That's 1 to 12 soft gels for 1 to 2 months. And then for maintenance, 60 to 200 milligrams per day, 1 to 2 soft gels on a maintenance basis. PERQUE EPA DHA Guard provides the omega-3 fatty acids in their safest, most active form. PERQUE EPA DHA in MCT, in the medium-chain triglycerides, 2 to 6 grams a day, that is 4 to 12 soft gels. EPA for body and brain, DHA for brain and body. And these are, of course, distilled under nitrogen, always to protect the delicate omega-3 fatty acids and distilled to remove environmental toxins and toxic metals. So the safer, more effective omega-3 source, PERQUE EPA DHA Guard, is recommended. And further heart protection comes from PERQUE Mag Plus Guard and PERQUE Choline Citrate, ionized magnesium and choline citrate that overcomes the magnesium uptake block. Tiny nano droplets, neutrally charged tiny droplets, form in the gut and are taken up by neutral pores of the cells. So magnesium is there. Magnesium is important in that, among other things, it can displace toxic minerals. Magnesium, when there's adequate magnesium, can displace lead or mercury or arsenic or cadmium or nickel. And then the body can pick these up with metallothionein and remove them from the body. Choline and citrate facilitate the uptake of magnesium, but they also go on to form acetylcholine, soothing neurotransmitter, and cholinergic bile salts. The citrate goes on to energize and alkalinize the battery or mitochondria of the cell, and we recommend 2 to 6 doses a day, or whatever is needed to keep the first AM urine pH in the healthy 6.5 to 7.5 range. So now we see that the relationship between how much magnesium supplementation is needed is determined by the individual using a self-test, first morning urine pH, because after rest, after 6 hours of rest, the urine equilibrates with the bladder and kidney cells, and that first morning urine pH is then a measure of the cellular acid-alkaline balance or status. And if you're a healthy person, then you keep your urine in the 6.5 to 7.5 range. If it's below 6.5, we recommend more than the 2 doses of PERQUE Mag Plus Guard and PERQUE Choline Citrate, increasing up to 6 doses a day for those that have their first morning urine pH at 6 or 5.5, remembering that that is a logarithmic scale, and each number is a factor of 10. So from 7 to 6 is a factor of 10, from 7 to 5 is a factor of 100. We're talking about a logarithmic scale, so we want more doses of the buffering beneficial magnesium for the people who have a lower first morning urine pH, showing a further excess of net acid that the body's trying to get rid of, and that the body can get rid of when it has enough buffering minerals, like magnesium, in forms that effectively get in the body. And here we see the results of a study that we did on PERQUE Mag Plus Guard and PERQUE Choline Citrate. These are 4 individuals, and for 4 weeks they had magnesium only, and you see their ionized magnesium remained low. Then they took Mag Plus Guard with choline citrate. Their ionized magnesium went up over the next 4 weeks, and then over the final 4 weeks, we continued to monitor. We find that 3 of the 4 are beginning to lose their magnesium. They need continuing replenishment. 1 of the 4 seems to be able to maintain the magnesium levels once they're restored. So we have some evidence confirming that PERQUE Mag Plus Guard and PERQUE Choline Citrate facilitate the uptake of magnesium as measured by ionized magnesium in these study subjects. And we also have evidence from others on how important healthy methylation is. PERQUE Vessel Health Guard is our tropho-restorative methylation homocysteine regulating product. And on the lower left, you see relative risk at different homocysteine levels. You see negligible risk if your homocysteine is less than 6.5, and I will suggest that less than 6 is your goal, that there's a minimum risk with a homocysteine of less than 6.5, and when you get up above 9 to 12, 12 to 15, and above 15, there's a tenfold, there's 1,000% increased risk with a homocysteine greater than 15 compared to a homocysteine of less than 6. And in another study about senility risk, if your homocysteine was less than 6.5, you had negligible risk of senility over the next 5 years. But if your homocysteine was over 15, you had over twice the risk of developing senility. So there's lots of reasons for healthy methylation. PERQUE Vessel Health Guard is your healthy methylation product. PERQUE Vessel Health Guard, enough of the sublingual or under the tongue form to keep the homocysteine below 6. Here's another study showing the importance of a healthy homocysteine level. This is from the New England Journal of Medicine, and it's the effect of homocysteine levels on survival. The yellow is the data from the actual published study. The green line is the data that I looked at to re-stratify. And what we find here, starting from the far lower right, is that if your homocysteine was more than 20, you had a big chance, an over 25% chance, a 1 in 4 chance of dying within the next 5 years. That's if your homocysteine level was more than 20. If your homocysteine was 15 to 20, you had a 20% or 1 in 5 risk of dying, almost the same risk if your homocysteine was 9 to 15. If your homocysteine was less than 9, you had about a 1 in 10 chance of dying. But look at the green line. If your homocysteine was less than 6, you had a really good chance of living those 5 years. So homocysteine levels are predictive of cardiovascular risk and health, of survival risk, and high homocysteine levels are associated with high risk, low homocysteines of less than 6 associated with negligible risk. PERQUE LifeGuard is 5 products in one. It's a super B complex for all the antioxidant and enzyme activating benefits of that. It's a full ionized mineral complex. It's a heart-healthy vitamins E, tocotrienols, plus selenomethionine complex. It's an alkalinizing formula in that it neutralizes excess cell acids, and it's an energizing formula to promote cell ATP levels. It's 100% bioavailable, proven in a double-blind placebo-controlled trial, and it is all in this unique LifeGuard formula. We recommend 2 to 6 capsules a day, as much as it takes to keep the urine in a healthy, bright sunshine yellow status. Of course, we should still stay well hydrated, and a well-hydrated person's urine is healthier when they have protective vitamin B in the urine, as reflected by a sunshine yellow urine color. The Alkaline Way is true integrative care. We've looked at the physiology first principles and reviewed them quickly. We want to restore homeostasis or self-regulation through these functional tests at healthy value levels. We want to enhance tolerance, resilience, and elective protectives in the immune system. We want to use our choices of what we consume, of our activity, attitude, and environment, our relationships and interdependence as opportunities to promote our health, to maintain, to enhance, and restore our health. We have summarized our information about protecting, recycling, defending, and repairing in The Joy of Food, the Alkaline Way Guide. It shows you interdependent health habits to balance, rest, and active stretching and breathing, to have mindfulness, active meditation practices, to have movements via Traeger, Pilates, Feldenkrais, or Alexander technique. And these are the recommendations that you'll find detailed in The Joy of Food, the Alkaline Way Guide to Healthy Living. I promised you HV or healthy values, and when we look at the primary markers for healthy values for repair deficit inflammation, we want to look at HS-CRP, high sensitivity CRP, and the HS-CRP should be less than 0.5. So with regard to repair and inflammation, we look at HSCRP, and we have a goal to bring it to less than 0.5, and we provide enough antioxidants and polyphenolics to do that. For methylation and detoxification, we look at homocysteine, and we want it to be less than 6. For antioxidant status, we look at oxidized HDL and LDL, and we can look at 8-oxoguanine as well. We want them to be undetectable if we have enough comprehensive antioxidant protection. And for metabolic status, we look at first morning urine pH, with healthy values being 6.5 to 7.5, and less than 6.5 suggesting net acid excess, and a reason to increase buffering minerals in the diet, alkaline-forming foods, as well as PERQUE Mag Plus Guard and PERQUE Citrate. All of this is so that our innate immune system can indeed protect, recycle, defend, and repair us. We have an interdependence of these health habits and practices. We can choose to do what we love and love what we do. We can choose to eat whole, local foods the alkaline way. We can choose targeted supplementation based on predictive tests and going towards and taking sufficient supplements to achieve healthy values, or the HV healthy value. And we do this through environmental awareness, edible landscaping, kitchen gardens, community-supported agriculture, and the like. Our objectives for this webinar were to rethink inflammation as repair deficit and as the primary causal factor for cardiovascular diseases. We've looked as a physiologist, and using physiology first principles, we see that we can restore host homeostasis via these predictive tests that are applied functionally and individually, referencing healthy values. And that the alkaline way brings together all that we have learned over the decades about the immune system restoring, repairing, and defending the body, maintaining a healthy resilience, and preventing repair deficits from accumulating, resolving and preventing inflammation.